Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for, I guess, another garage gun talk. We got some P320 news to talk about, and I guess the general just gun chat tonight is about gun collecting and going into your safe and finding something maybe you forgot you had, looking at it and handling it and going, wow, that's actually a pretty cool gun, and enjoying it again for the first time, because I had that experience today, and we'll start with that. I was filming the garage portion of the range report for the Rost Martin RM1C today. I wrote the bullet point script and I just filmed it. I edited it, and it's already rendered, and right now it's uploading, and that's going to be set for release, I don't know, sometime in the future, next year. But somebody had told me in my last video about that gun here on this channel, where I did like my first impressions. I said, somebody said the magazines were compatible with Glock, but I don't think they are. And somebody mentioned, no, they're compatible with the CZ P10C. So for the review, to check it out and see if that's actually the case, I went and got my P10C out. And this one is date coded, I think, to 2022. It's the tactical version in the, I think they called this urban, was it urban gray, I think? I think it's the color of the frame. They discontinued this color, and it's my understanding that they have a new generation of this pistol out. But this, honestly, I think is one of the nicest kind of compact 9mm striker-fired pistols out there from a military and law enforcement standpoint. It's underrated, I think, in many of those communities, but you guys know it has one of the nicest striker-fired trigger systems for a gun like this. But I did try out the magazine in the Rost Martin, and yes, it is compatible. But I was telling you that I went to my safe. I was like, I'm going to get this out. And I started looking at it. I'm like, you know, I have not pulled this out of the safe, and this might actually surprise you. I've owned this pistol probably now for 2 or 3 years. I got it brand new. I've never fired it. That's just the kind of collector that I am. I have so many guns I haven't shot. I know that's like heresy to so many people, but I just enjoy them, enjoy collecting them. And I had to get a P10C because everyone's like, it's the best striker fired pistol out there. You got no CZs. And of course, I had to get the tactical version with the threaded barrel, suppressor height sights, the urban gray, which is now discontinued. I don't know what the collectability of these are now. Maybe it's more collectible and desirable. It's just what I wanted for the collection, and I'm sure glad that I got it. But yeah, so I got out of the safe. I've just been kind of handling it here. I haven't put it back yet because I'm like, that's actually a pretty cool pistol. I like the way it feels. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So have you ever done that where you just go to your safe and maybe you're, looking at everything in your collection and you go, I totally forgot that I own that. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. And I get to kind of relive the moment of getting the gun for the first time and unboxing it. I'm like, yeah, wow, that is a cool gun. And I've owned it for like years, but I never like take it out of the safe and, look at it and handle it or shoot it. So that's pretty cool. It's like having a new gun again for the first time. But anyway, the P10C, the old style. And what do you guys think about the urban gray tactical version? I haven't seen a lot of these in the wild. All right, so let's talk about, I guess, the big news that a lot of people are discussing regarding the M18 P320 debacle. And what I think about the Air Force announcing that somebody has been arrested for manslaughter in regards to the airman that was killed. And I guess SIG is doing, as somebody said, a victory lap, saying, see, it wasn't the P320 design, it wasn't the M18. It looks like somebody, I mean, we don't have any definitive results yet, but it looks like somebody was screwing around with the gun, maybe handling it when they shouldn't be handling it, messing around, and shot somebody. Because I guess the definition of manslaughter, according to the military, deals with an unintentional death that was caused by reckless behavior. So maybe that's the case. We don't have any names. We have no other information about it. But it looks like what people were freaking out about regarding the pistol just sitting on the table and going off might not have been true. And I had kind of mentioned this in some of my videos that we just didn't have enough information. Could it happen? Yes. And I was fairly certain, and I've mentioned this in many videos, that if this was a P320, if you put it onto the table and don't touch it, it's not going to go off. Are there problems with the uncommanded discharges? I believe there are, because we have documented evidence of them being in holsters, being, jostled around, moved around, and so forth. So I definitely think there's something to it, where it could be a holster issue, it could be a mechanical issue inside, but one of the things that have to happen is the input of some type of motion, whether that be the active holstering of a pistol, the active unholstering of a pistol, the pistol moving in a holster. You're running, jogging, picking up inmates. We've seen those videos. So there's definitely something still that we got to investigate and question. However, this is a good lesson for everybody, okay? Everybody, myself included. And we have to do self-reflection upon this. You know how whenever there is a mass tragedy event, and I have to use certain words because of YouTube, but we know what I'm talking about when it comes to gun. A mass tragedy event where lives are lost because of a very sick human being that uses a gun, okay? And that can manifest itself in many different ways, in many different places, at many different times, for many different reasons. And one of the things that we in the gun community always talk about is the media and how they jump to conclusions, right? We recently had that event in New York City, and how CNN, everyone makes fun of them, like, oh, it was a white guy. And it turned out it was not a white guy. It was like a black guy, right? Not that race means anything. It's just that they immediately jump to conclusions. And anytime it's a pistol being used, it's an AR-15, before we even know the actual, fatalities, the numbers, information on the weapons used. There's already information out there, and politicians are going, gun control, we need assault weapons bans. And for all we know, it was a 22 single-shot pistol. We always, and rightfully so, get on the media's case and other people and go, you need to wait for all of the information to come out, because many times everything blows up, then the information comes out and it all goes away. Just like what happened in New York recently, right? It was going to be a big deal. A guy took an AR-15 into New York City, into, I guess it was like the NFL offices or something. I don't know. It's still not clear. Initial reports were, white person, and it was racist and all this kind of stuff, and then it turned out that was not the case, and poof, it's gone, right? Nobody talks about it anymore. It's done. But the media was trying to run with it. We're like, wait for all the information to come out. And once you have the information, then you can make an informed decision on what to do and have an informed reaction, because it kind of looks a little bit silly when you were saying one thing and screaming to the hills with saying, it's this, and then it turns out it wasn't. You look a little bit foolish, That's why in the whole P320 debate, I have been saying I'm a centrist in this. I definitely see evidence where I think there's a problem, but I don't think it's the widespread problem that everyone else thinks it is. I know there's a few people that are like me, and I'm like, listen, let's just get the information out there. Let's find out what's happening. Let's have our minds open to even people that claim to be in the center. And I don't even want to I don't like to talk about other YouTubers, but somebody I've been kind of following a lot, I talked about with Matt from the Wyoming Gun Project, the Yankee Marshal. The Yankee Marshal is, he's a believer that there's nothing wrong with the P320. And I disagree with that, but I also disagree with people that say the P320 is the worst gun ever and there is a problem. I believe the truth lies somewhere in between. And whether or not you think it's a piece of junk and it's dangerous, or you think it's 100% safe, what is the problem with actually having reputable people perform tests, whether that be civilians, just inquiring? Because, some civilians in many aspects of life make great discoveries. People that weren't professionals can discover great things. Astronomy can be a great example. There's been many things in the sky that we've discovered that were found by amateur astronomers, not professional ones. But also let the people that are professionals do it as well, and just wait. See what they find out. Let the cases play through the courts. Let evidence be presented. Let expert witnesses present what they know. Let's look at the footage. Let's not just assume it's one way or the other. There's no harm. If I believe the P320 is 100% safe, well, what risk do I have in allowing people to investigate it because I know they're going to come up with the same conclusion that I believe? Or if I think the P320 is inherently dangerous and they all go off, well, I'm going to be like, well, let's have all the tests because we're going to prove my point. Let's just be willing to learn. And I think it's important to be willing to wait and listen. And we also need to be willing to be wrong. We do. We need to be willing to be wrong because we're going to get things wrong from time to time. And there's no shame in that. So what does this mean for the P320? Well, I definitely think things are going to cool down right now because when that airman was killed and they said it went off uncommanded, that was a big issue because now people had died because of it. Now they don't have that high profile case. And it looks like it was actually because somebody was reckless with a gun, possibly handling the gun and accidentally shot the airman. So it wasn't the story people said. So now all the people that were talking about the uncommanded discharges, in this case, in a holster, a Safari Land holster, blah, 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 all the experts coming out, that they look stupid now, or maybe uninformed. I think it's wise to have a very tempered approach to anything in life, a balanced approach, as I tell my students and I tell my family. There is nothing wrong when the initial reports and evidence come out to formulate an opinion, but it's always important to express that it's an opinion and be willing to admit that I am basing this opinion on inconclusive evidence or incomplete evidence, and that you are willing to change your mind, open your eyes, and are going to be patient for more evidence to come out because time will show the truth. You know, it's like in politics. There's a lot of things, whether it be like the JFK assassination, as time has gone on and there's fewer people that were alive then, that would be mentioned in like the Warren Report or any of the documents that support it are alive now. There's no need to keep all that stuff secret. And, as time goes on, the truth comes out because the emotions become less and less and less. And the things that we think today might be very different than what historians write about us 100 years from now. The things that we all might believe are being hidden from us, I could come up with a plethora of things that we don't trust the government on. From the Epstein files to, I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist, but let's say Barack Obama's college records and birth certificate and all this kind of stuff. Things that are hidden from us. We're told, no, it's fine. Well, 100 or 150 years from now, when everybody alive today that's watching this video is going to be in a cemetery, buried with their friends and family, there's not going to be any emotion about that anymore because no one's going to care. So much will have transpired between then or now and then, so that people and historians will be able to go through it like we look at scandals from the 18th century without emotion, without having personal investment in it, and be able to actually get to the truth. So what people 100 years from now are going to say about us and everything going on is very different than what we are saying about ourselves now. And they might be looking at us 100 years in the future going, man, they were idiots. They were blind by this. Or maybe we were spot on, but we just don't know. But I think when the emotions die down, we get the better information. So if you are one of the people that asks the media to be patient, wait for the information to come out when a mass tragedy event happens, you need to be self-reflective and ask yourself to also be patient when it comes to things that support your firearms biases. Like when it comes to the P320. I know this is not a P320, this is a CZ P10C, but pretend it is. I'm using it as a representative example. But if you have a gun you love or hate, and you get some information about it, don't just jump to the end conclusion. You can formulate an opinion, wait for the information, and formulate the most educated opinion on the information you have, but also be willing to give the caveat that I admit I don't have all of the information. Because then you begin to look at life through a more practical and truthful lens and be willing to be wrong. Be willing to be wrong and to learn. And I think in general, you'll be better for it in life, you know? So there you go. That's all I got for you tonight in tonight's Garage Gun Talk. Have you ever pulled a gun out of your safe you forgot you had and go, wow, that's a cool gun. I'm sure glad I have it. And do you think more people in the gun community need to be patient when it comes to all of the heated issues, whether they're pro-gun, anti-gun, about a certain gun, whatever it is? Because I think we do. So if you watch to the end of this video, the word of the day is going to be patience. Patience is the word of the day because I think we all, myself included, could benefit from being more patient. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.